Hi, so should you be taking deposits for your pet portrait commissions? Hi, I'm Sema Martin. I'm a pet portrait artist and have been for the last 10 years. And I'm doing these daily vlogs to share the business side of things. But if you do want to know more about the business side of things and you want to start selling your commissions more reliably, then please check out my course, The Business of Pet Portraits. So should you take a deposit? And yes, the answer is always yes. I would always take money before you start doing anything, because it shows not only is it like safeguarding you against getting, left and not being paid for your artwork, but it's also giving the customer an opportunity to show commitment to the hours of work that you're about to apply. So it's really important that both of you show your commitment to what's about to be exchanged, because it sort of is like a contract. It's a communication contract of they're employing you as the artist to draw something for them. So you both have to show some sort of commitment that it's going to be done, it's going to be complete at the end of the day. So I would always take a deposit. I give my customers 3 options. So the first option is to pay in full, which quite a lot of them do. They just pay the whole thing in full up front before I do anything. So before I do any mock-ups for them, before I really chat about pictures, before I draw, anything like that. They pay up front, they're on my waiting list, and then we talk mock-ups and drawings and backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. The other option I like to give them is to pay 50%. So they can pay 50% deposit now to hold their space on my waiting list, and then they pay the other 50% just before I'm about to start the commission. So still not even I've actually drawn anything. They pay the 50%. They're on my waiting list. I go through mock-ups with them. We sort it all out. We get everything prepared. And then say, 4 months later, when I'm actually ready to draw the portrait, I send them another invoice saying, I'm going to start your portrait this week. You need to pay the rest of your fee. So that's the other 50%. So my pencil doesn't touch the paper until they've paid me the rest of the money. And I find that really important for me personally and for them. So again, so they know I'm about to start, here's the rest of the money, so they can get, what they're after. They get what they've commissioned me for. I'm also secure in the fact that they've paid for it. It's all paid for. I don't have to worry about payment anymore. I can just enjoy the portrait. I can enjoy the process. I can enjoy drawing it from start to finish, sharing progress pictures, and doing all of that kind of stuff. Because it's already paid for. I don't have to worry, oh no, I hope they pay because, what if I've done this wrong? Then they won't pay me, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to happen. They've already paid, and because you're doing, I send progress pictures throughout. So because you're sending progress pictures, because you're keeping that communication between you and the client, there's less opportunity for things to go wrong, for them not to like it, anything like that. I've honestly never ever had anybody ask for their money back. I really haven't. It's been 10 years, over 300 commissions, and nobody has ever asked me for a refund because my communication with them is very consistent and clear. They know what they're getting. I know what I'm doing, and therefore I've never had a problem. I have had one instance where someone hasn't really liked their portrait, so I've offered to draw it again for them, and that was just my fault. So that's happened once. They didn't ask for a refund. They were just really unhappy, and I didn't want them to go away unhappy. They were gonna go away unhappy, but I didn't want that. I wanted my 100% happy customers to continue, and so she was unhappy. It was from the start, really. Honestly, it was my fault. I should have said no to the reference picture that she gave me. The legs were cut off. I said I'd draw them in with other references that she gave. I was very inexperienced at the time. I wasn't thinking properly about proportions. This was only my first year. This was my first year into my business. So I wasn't really thinking properly about proportions and how the dog actually looks in real life. And also the picture she sent just wasn't right. It wasn't the right kind of picture. And I should have said from the start, I can't work with this picture. I need another one. Because she did have a perfectly fine picture. Because after I'd drawn it, she was unhappy. I offered to draw another picture. She sent me one which was literally perfect. So I should have just drawn that one from the start, really. So it was just down to a communication thing. I was just said yes. I wasn't clear as to what I needed from her in terms of a reference picture. I also didn't really know in terms of what she wanted. So communication issues led to me having to draw another portrait for her for free. She didn't get the other one that I drew wrong. That's fine. I've kept it as like a bad example. But then she was very happy, 100% happy. She's actually been commissioning me again since. So that turned, because I treated her so well, I made sure she was happy. She came back the next year to commission me again, which is why it's really important to have customer happiness. So communication is the key when it comes to your customers, especially in the payment process. The third option I give my customers is to pay in monthly installments. So my prices are higher, especially if they want multiple pets on a page. So normally that's like a really big portrait, can be up to £3,000 to commission me to do something that big with lots of pets on it. So I give them the option to split the total amount into monthly installments until the date that I draw it. So again, I still get all of the money up front before I start drawing, but for them it's a lot easier to pay because it's broken into monthly installments. So making it easy for your customers to pay also makes them more likely to commission you. So by giving them options, if you are higher in prices, then giving them the options to pay in installments, I find really helps. Giving them the option to pay a deposit really helps. But mostly people will just pay up front, which is what I find. If you're very clear from the start, once you've paid, you will be on my waiting list for the commissions. That holds your spot. I'm very clear about that. So nobody goes on my commission list until they've paid me any sort of money, whether it's a deposit or the first installment. But they have to pay to show a commitment. And then they go in my waiting list, and then I know, okay, so in January, I'm drawing this person's portrait. So if they've paid in installments or deposit, by the time it gets to January, they would have paid their bill. You know, all of the payments would have been made. They would have finished paying up, and then I can start. And that has saved me a lot of grief over the years. It's saved me a lot of, I guess, difficult people to work with, because if they don't want to pay, if they want you to draw first, I just say no. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. And that has saved me from working with people that are going to try and scam me, you know? So if you don't do anything, you don't do any artwork until the payment's made for a commission, is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of aggro, a lot of suffering. So please make sure that you take payment up front. I personally also charge for shipping as an extra cost. So the payment that they make is specifically for the portrait and the time taken to create the portrait. I then charge extra for framing, because obviously that depends on the type of frame they want and the size of frame they want. So I do lots of mock-ups for them. I give them a few variations if they want like a traditional style frame, if they want like a modern style frame and how big the frame is. If it's a big portrait, it's going to cost maybe £100 to frame. If it's a smaller portrait, it'll only cost maybe about £20 to frame. So it depends on their size, which is why I like to add it on extra after I've drawn it, so then I can mock it up and I can show them what it would look like, and then they have the option to follow through if they want it framed. As the same with shipping, I don't know how much it will cost to ship to them until the portrait is drawn, framed and in a box, because you have to weigh the box and measure the box, and that's what you're sending. So again, I make it very clear that this price is just for the portrait. They'll be charged extra for the actual shipping itself after it's completed, and my customers have never had a problem with that. I do, within the UK, I have free shipping, free next day delivery, because it doesn't cost a lot at all, especially if it's a big package. But I always charge extra if it's outside of my country. So you could do the same thing. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. You could always have add on a slight extra. Say you add on £20 or £30 to your actual commission budget to say, this is how much it is and it's free shipping. Or if it's shipping outside of the country, this is how much it is plus shipping. It's completely up to you, but I like to make sure that I'm not losing out on any money. Because if I say, and it's £50 shipping before I've even drawn and measured it, they've paid £50. It comes to measuring out, weighing out the box, packing it up, and actually it's £100, then I've lost out, because they're not going to want to pay any more. I've already told them the price of shipping, and to them, they've paid for shipping as far as they care. They need me now to deliver what I've promised to deliver. So it's not fair to then ask for more money for shipping if they have thought that they've already paid for shipping, which is why I like to do it separately after, give them the specific amount for shipping and that kind of thing. Even for framing, I charge them slightly extra for the time taken to actually put it in the frame. So say the frame is £20, I charge them 25 or 30, that kind of thing, because then that covers costs of getting the frame, because I have my frames made online, delivered to me. I then put it in the frame to then send it out. So I don't actually go to a framer's. I used to go to a framer's, but I currently live in an area where there isn't any framers, so I have to do it myself. Therefore, I've added an extra £5-10 depending on the size of the frame and the time it would take for me to mount it up and tape it up and do everything that comes with putting things into a frame. Putting on the screws for the rope, the hanging rope, all that kind of stuff is extra time, and you need to charge people for your time, otherwise it's not a profitable business. So those are all the extra things that you can charge for people. But in terms of deposits, always take a deposit. Make sure that you take some form of payment, whether it is their first monthly installment or a 50% deposit or a 25% deposit or the payment in full. Always take money up front before your pencil touches the page. It's really important that you do that. Will make your experience of being a commission artist so much better if you have these clear boundaries in place, these clear communication boundaries that they understand, that you understand, and then the process is easy and enjoyable, and you're not worrying about money, and you're not worrying if they're going to pay you because they've already paid you. So let me know if there's anything else you want to know about payments, about pet portrait commissions, the business side of things. And if you do want to take this seriously and learn how to sell your art, either part-time or full-time, then click the link below, sign up for the Pet Portraits business course, and I will see you next time.